Again, it's a finished work. What is a finished work? He did the works that he was called to do. Jesus is our example. So every single one of us has works that the Father has put inside of us for us to do and finish. The only way that I can finish the things that he's called me to do is if I live in communion with Holy Spirit. Yes. Paul is another example. You only see Jesus and Paul talking about this. Paul says, I have finished my race. He had run the course. He knew that his time was drawing near, that he was going to be taken away. Right? The only way for us to truly understand that is when I live in relationship. Jesus, all throughout the Gospels, this is so amazing. He is always getting away from the crowds, getting away from the disciples to go and be with the Father. He is showing us the way. The only way for us to truly be living in what the Spirit of God is doing is when we get away. When we go and we close the door, we shut off all the distractions in life, and we sit with God. Psalm 46:10 says, be still and know that I am God. That stillness is an inner stillness that I have to learn. It's a discipline. I have to learn how to sit down. I have to learn how to close everything off around me and sit down and come to Him knowing that He is God. I don't come to Him to ask Him for anything. I come to sit and I allow Him to reveal Himself to me so that as He begins to show me things, He shows me His heart. He begins to show me what He made me for. He begins to show me destiny. He begins to show me purpose. And then all of a sudden I take what I see and I mix it with faith, because without faith I can't please Him. Yes. And when I come to Him, I must believe that He is. He is what? He is I am. Yeah. Everything that you could ever imagine, everything you could ever dream of, He is. That's who He is. I must believe that He is. All things are possible to Him to believe. So we have access to everything. There is nothing that can come in our way that can overcome us. Right? So as I spend time with Him, He begins to download these things in me. I mix those things with faith. When I mix those things with faith, all of a sudden it pleases Him, and all of a sudden He starts rewarding my life. What are these rewards? The rewards are joy. These rewards are peace. These rewards are the fullness of the Spirit. These rewards are also ones that are being stored up for us in heaven, right? Because our treasures are supposed to be being stored up there. So when we get there, we have all these treasures to partake of. That's the reality of a kingdom life, right? Everything that I have is to be poured into the kingdom, right? Because then the kingdom is multiplied and those treasures are stored up. So we have finished work of the cross. Jesus makes a way to bring us back into right relationship with the Father through His blood. The veil's torn from top to bottom, which is also His flesh. He gives us a way into that holy place so that we all as sons and daughters can live in the presence of God all the time. Yes. Right? And He makes it so easy for us because we are the temple and He lives inside of us. So I have to learn how to close my natural eyes and how to look with my spiritual eyes and look at the face of Jesus all the time. Because when I actually start getting still and getting quiet, I can actually live in constant contact with Him by His Spirit. Everywhere I go, I'm actually looking at Jesus while I'm in the natural right now. And He begins to show me things in the atmosphere. This is what He wants to do with all of us. It's not just for some of us, right? He's given us all this access. We just have to cultivate relationship, right? If I'm truly going to get to know you, I have to actually go and spend time with you. And as I spend time with you, I start learning your character. I start learning your nature. All of a sudden, I start understanding His voice, right? He, as the shepherd, the sheep know the voice and they'll follow Him because it's like, oh, this is the Lord speaking to me, right? The Lord is constantly speaking to us. So that finished work happens, gives us access. He dies, the death, the burial. What that happens is He overcomes, right? As He hangs on the cross and gives up the Holy Spirit, He finishes His work. He defeats the enemy. He takes back the keys, the dominion, the authority, the power. The resurrection. Resurrection life is there is no more death. Death is swallowed up by His life. Okay? So we have the guarantee of resurrection life even right now because Christ's resurrected life is inside of me. So I get to live in the resurrection power all the time. It's burning inside of me all the time. This is all stuff we need to know. Not just know, but we have to actually walk this stuff out so we can see the evidence of the kingdom. Because this is all kingdom stuff right here. Right? We have to live in the reality of sonship. If I don't understand my sonship and my identity as a son, then I'm going to continue to live over here in these places of lack when I've already been called to live in this place as a king. As a king and priest, right? Because Jesus is the king, so I'm supposed to live as He is. Right? So resurrection life overcomes all things. He gives me power and authority. Now the ascension. Very important that you know about the ascension because He rises and He's seated in heavenly places. Okay? So all of a sudden, if you understand what goes on with Jacob, when Jacob lays his head on the stone and he has that dream and he sees the angels ascending and descending on the ladder, that ladder is Christ. He was seeing ahead of time that there was going to be this access from earth to heaven that we can have all the time, where there's ascension and descension. Amen. So all of a sudden Christ becomes this access, this ladder, where we can actually have ascension and descension continuously. And what happens is we start bringing down the reality of us living on earth and heaven, because now that he's ascended and he's ascended and he's seated, all of a sudden he brings us into the reality of living on earth as it is in heaven. Right? So as we speak, we're actually speaking from the throne room as a priest. A priest, the first thing the priest does, because we all have to understand that that's part of our nature too, is living as priests. A priest, the first thing he does is he ministers before the Lord. He serves before the Lord. And as I present myself here and I start serving before the Lord, all of a sudden the Lord begins to reveal and put his heart in me. As I minister here, all of a sudden I turn from here and I start releasing heaven on earth. So that's a whole